Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. I accept things the way they are. I accept things the way they are not. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. I love wasting. I love wasting. I get free. I reap abundantly. I already have everything I need. Wonderful is happening to me right now. Don't you feel it? Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Oh yeah, I accept things the way they are. I will. I accept things the way they are not. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
This morning we are setting up for our Thanksgiving potluck.
All right.
Happy day, yes.
Okay.
These delicious desserts.
All right.
Good morning. Welcome to the center.
Morning. Welcome to the center. Would you like a program?
Good morning, everyone. Please hurry and take your seats because we're very limited on time. And I have something so beautiful to share with you today. So I want everyone to take a few deep breaths, get very, very quiet, very, very still. As you breathe in more of who you know you really are, your God self. The one that knows, always will know. And where is that person? Where it is not a person. It is an essence. It is love. It is you. It is your I am. So please lower your eyes, be comfortable. Breathe in and know that I am God. As I read these words to you, let them fill you. I am not your intellect, your body. I consequently merely forgot me, your divine self says. I am not your intellect and body, and this message is to teach you and we are one. The words I hear and speak, the main burden of these instructions is to awaken your consciousness to this great fact. You cannot awaken to this fact until you get away from the conversation and the consciousness of this body and intellect, which so long have held you enslaved. You must feel me within before you can know I am there. Now, in order that you can become wholly oblivious of your mind and its thoughts, and your body and its sensations, so that you can feel me within, it is necessary that you studiously obey these, my instructions. Sit quietly in a relaxed position, and when wholly at ease, let your mind take in the significance of these words. Be still and know I am God. To you, who through the years and much running to and fro have been eagerly seeking in books and teachings, philosophies and religion, for you to know not what true happiness, freedom, and God. To whose soul is weary and discouraged and almost destitute of hope. To you, who many times have obtained a glimpse that truth only to find, when you followed and tried to reach it, that it disappeared into the beyond and was a mirage of the desert. To you who thought you had found it in some great teacher, who was perhaps acknowledged head of society, fraternity, or religion, who appeared to you a master. So marvelous was his wisdom. He taught and worked, and he performed, only to awaken later to realize that that master was but a human personality with faults, weaknesses, and secret sins the same as you. Even though that personality may not have been what you had hoped, perhaps it was a channel through which were voiced many beautiful teachings, which seemed to be the highest truth. And here you are, soul weary and in hungered, and not knowing where to turn. To you, I say, I am, and I have come. Likewise, you will have begun to feel the presence of that truth within your soul, and seek the confirmation that which of late has been vaguely struggling for living expression within. Yes, to all of you who hunger for the true bread of life, I am, I have come. Are you ready to partake? If so, then arouse yourself, sit up your human mind, and follow closely my words here and spoken, or you will turn away disappointed once more with the aching hunger still in your heart. Who am I? I who speak with such seemingly knowledge and authority, listen. I am you, the part of you who is and knows, who knows all things, and always knew, and always was, and always will be. Yes, I am you, yourself, the part of you who says, I am, is, I am. The translucent innermost part of you which quickens within as you listen to these words, respond to these words, which perceive its truth, which recognizes all truth and disregards all error when found. Not the part that has been feeding on error all these years. For I am your real teacher, the only real one you will ever know, the only master. I, your divine self, I, the I am of you, bring to you this message, my living word. As I brought to you everything in life, be it bit book, master, to teach you that I and I alone, your own true self, am the teacher for you, the only teacher and the only God. And so I may say to you now, be still and know I am God. And when it feels comfortable for you, please come back into this room, to this center, and allow me to say thank you for letting me share this time and these words with you. Namaste.
I invite you to gently lower or close your eyes as I offer my prayer this morning. I know that there is only one presence and one power, one energy of life that I call God. God is everywhere present. There is nothing but God. And I am one with this presence. I am one with the love and the light and the wisdom. Just as the waves of the ocean are not part of the ocean, I am not part of God. I am one with God. Spirit guides me in everything that I do. I speak God's word. I feel God's feelings as my expression. Everything that I express is truth, life, and love. Every person that I touch feels this light and love. And I know that everyone that hears the sound of my voice knows in their heart that the words I speak are true. I am so grateful for this day, this brand new baby day. I'm so grateful for all the surprises and all the wonderment that is happening right now, right here in my life. I am so grateful for Patty and Dave and their music. I am so grateful for our prayer team and for our wonderful ministers that give so selflessly all the time. And I'm grateful for Julius and the pictures that he takes and the video that he does. And also for the team that works with the sound system. And of course the teachers. All of the teachers. We're all teachers, but the teachers of the children this morning. I'm so grateful for them. And I'm grateful for every single one that has become one of the one right here, right now, expressing all that they need to express and hearing this wonderful message this morning as it will touch their hearts. For this and so much more, I am so thankful and so grateful. And so I know that I can declare that I can release my word into the universal creative law, knowing that it is fulfilled and done. And so together we say, and so it is.
So, today, my name is Stacy Hilton. I'm one of the co-senior ministers along with Reverend Dan and Reverend Cheryl. The theme for the month is financial health and prosperity. And the talk title is How to Reverse Financial Adversity. Now, Reverend Dan and I were talking briefly in the office. We were reminded of Reverend Cynthia when she said, people will talk about, and come to ministers and talk about their sex cycle before they will talk about the money. Right? I mean, we talk about Black Lives Matter, we talk about social injustice, we talk about injustice for transgender communities, we talk about all the hardships that go on all across the planet. We talk about global warming. We talk about all of this stuff, and we don't want to talk about our own finances. It is absolutely insane, is it not? What is it about the green that we don't want to talk about? But everything else we talk about. Stop it. And I've gone to many, many Science of Mind centers, and it's the same thing. It's always the same thing. Now, perhaps because we are a center and not a church, we don't want to talk about, give people the idea that we are in lack, and where there's certainly no lack. Look at this place. It's full again. Yeah. Who knew that we could have that kind of power to fill this place up again? Because before it was not, you knew. There's a few of us that knew. There's a few of us that knew. Yeah, many of us knew in our heart of hearts we knew. And our money is doing tremendously better than it had before. And we could still do better, I think. I could still have some more money in my pocket, right? Anybody else, or is it just me? Anybody else? Right? I love that Mae McCarthy came here and she spoke about why not teach your congregation how to obtain the wealth? And it's no different than anything else, but we have a mental system that I don't know what it is about the money. I remember when I was 14 years old, my mom and dad had recently split up, and my mom's grandfather was a minister. He was not Science of Mind. He was a Baptist minister, and she was exploring her roots, I guess, which was not fun for me to go to church at a Baptist church. I'm always going to Science of Mind churches, growing up at Science of Mind churches. And I didn't want to be there in the first place, to be upfront with that, but it did not help when the the person doing the offering, or the ushers came up, and they locked the door because there was not enough money in the offering. They locked the door and they took 3 offerings. Right? I was like, wow. Wow. Now, obviously, all churches do not do that and practice that. But it kind of set me into I don't want to, when I'm a minister, I don't want to talk about the money. I don't want them to think that we need their money. I don't want them to think that we are in lack. I don't want them to think that I need to go buy a new Rolls Royce, this church. The person was driving a Rolls Royce. And I had it in my mind, this is what ministers do. They get all that money, then they go buy Rolls Royces. See, that's not why I'm not giving my dollar. Okay, maybe I did have a little sip with German chocolate. I'm joking. But we really, I don't know where we get this perception. Perhaps it's when we grew up. And speaking as a minister of a Science of Mind Center now, one of the co-ministers, it's not how it works. Reverend Dan doesn't pay the power bill because he works for Nevada Energy. We still have a $600 power bill every month. We still have rent. We still operate on in a physical universe. Now, I don't say that because to get you to give another dollar. But what Mae McCarthy taught me is she practices and tithes millions of dollars to her center and does this practice and tells people about it so that everybody can become wealthy. Everybody can become wealthy. That's what I wasn't getting. It's not about the minister becoming wealthy or the ministers becoming wealthy, even though we will accept wealth. But it is about all of us expecting and knowing that wealth and abundance is our birthright. It's our birthright. You know, I'm loving teaching again, Prac 1. And it brought this book back in my life, Joel Goldsmith, Practicing the Presence. And Joel Goldsmith has a beautiful prayer in here. If you would listen, I'm going to change the words up a little just because it's an older book and it's not gender neutral. And so there is that within me, so much closer to me than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. You are the all-knowing intelligence of this universe, the intelligence which created it. You're the divine love which has supplied this earth with vegetables and flowers, diamonds, uranium, oil, gold, silver, and platinum. You have filled the heavens with your glory, the stars, the sun, and the moon, and the oceans with the rhythmic activity of the tides. I acknowledge your presence in all things, and as all things. And even before I pray, I know that you know my needs. Even before I lift my eyes or thoughts to you, you not only know my needs, but it is your good pleasure to give me the kingdom. And so I turn to you now, not to tell you my need, but to receive the fulfillment of my need. I come to you now, not seeking things, not seeking persons, but seeking your grace, your benediction, the gift of yourself. Let the peace that passeth understanding descend upon me, your peace and inner grace and inner joy and in inner harmony. Let the Holy Ghost enfold and envelop me. Let the Christ consciousness fill my soul, fill my mind, fill my being, and fill my body. In quietness and in confidence shall be my strength, because the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. It is a power of peace and grace to all who touch my consciousness. Page number 34 and 35. And so there is that is changeless and deathless, that's indestructible, that created the heavens and the earth. There's more stars in the sky than we can count. The hills, the flowers, the plants, the sun and the moon, the sands, the sand on the beaches. All of it was created by something that also created you and that gave you the ability to create. And so we live on an abundant planet, and we have to remember that. And we also can choose to create whatever we want. Why is it that I know and believe that my body can cure itself, but I don't believe that I can create $25,000 by Friday? $45. It's the same thing. Dr. Holmes says it in the textbook. It could be a penny or a million is the same thing to God. It's the same thing. And so why we get hung up on it is just our own belief system. And so let's shift it. If you want to shift it, let's shift it. I'm working on it still. I want to know that Friday I'm going to have $25,000. I would like to get there. And I'm past the 25, but I'm still not to the 25,000. So let's work together this month and prove it. But there is no trick. There is not a trick that is for some, that works for some and not for others. There is no secret. The secret is, we all know it. We all practice it. Russell, will you play that video?
Oh, shut up. I know what you're doing. Here we go, friends. Step right up.
I got 20 I can go for.
All you have to do is find the correct one.
I was a student in New York at NYU and had been walking down the street and came across the shell game. Sure enough, I got suckered in.
Keep your eye. It always starts underneath the center shell here. Where do you think it is?
Right there.
Oh, yeah, you a sucker. Come up with another 20, my friend. No, you should have picked this one over here.
Within 2 minutes, I lost close to $600.
Okay, what do you think it is, sir? You think it's this one right here? Well, unfortunately, you lost, my friend. You should pick this other one. Let me give you another opportunity. Ah, what a guy. $10 says where? I keep telling you, look under the center one. You people just don't believe me. What am I going to have to do to get you to get some money out of me?
Whether they're three-card Monte or shell games or psychics or any of these people, it's all set up to where you can't win.
Come on, pal. Well, I tell you, we did it. That's a fast $70.
2 minutes.
It's a scam. It's not a real game. You can never win. Watch carefully. The minute I shove the shell forward, the pea rolls out into my fingers. If I move the shell backward, it goes back inside the shell. That's the whole secret to this trick. And then if you combine that with the movement of the shells, push forward, do this, and I've loaded it back in. If I want to make it appear as if it were here, I pull this on up. I say, do you want to try this one? I pull this one on up, and I can do the same thing and show it here. Or you can show that it's not under any, that I have it stolen out here in my hand.
It's not a trick. It's not a God trick. It's not the shell game. There is enough, and more than enough, for us to share and spare. I don't know, has anybody played the shell game, or three-card Monte as they call it, or whatever they call it? Yeah. Did you win? I remember when I was at UCLA, my car was being fixed or something, and I had to take the bus down Wilshire. And I decided that I was going to make a little bit of money on that ride to get my car. It didn't work out so well for me on that shell game. I did not lose $600, but I had to call my dad for a loan to get my car. That is a true story. So don't play the shell game. But there is another game that we play, and Florence Scovel Shen. Anybody familiar with Florence Scovel Shen? She wrote this book that I know practitioner Janet used to always talk about. For those of you that know Janet, you know, she would just talk, and you're like, yeah, whatever, Janet. And then you find out it's something wonderful, and you're like, oh, I wish I would have picked that up. So this is one of those things, The Game of Life and How to Play It, Florence Scovel Shen, and it was written in 1925. And listen to what she says about the game. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle, it is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law, and the Old and the New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This means that whenever man or woman sends out in word or deed will return to him, what he gives or she gives, he or she will receive. We do it all the time, right? I shake your hand, you give me your hand back, and we exchange. It's an even exchange. I smile at you, you smile back at me. Thank you, Patty, for that song. It's one of my favorites. Right? It's what we do. We give and receive. It's to be in the flow of life. And so while Lauren was a good steward of her money back in the day, but her family was calling her cheap, perhaps she was, this is not my judgment, perhaps she was holding on too tightly. Because if you're not participating in the flow, you can't get more. It doesn't work that way. It's an ongoing circulation. Yes. And it continue. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imaging faculty. A person with an imaging faculty, trained to image only good, brings into his or her life every righteous desire of his or her heart. Health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, his or her highest ideals. The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind, and it is ever cutting day by day the picture the man sees there, and sooner or later he or she meets his or her own creations in his or her outer world. To train the imagination successfully, man or woman must understand the workings in his or her mind. The Greeks said, know thyself. And so, as much as it is for me to be in classes with my friends and know them, and maybe Lauren's shortcomings or Dan's or Cheryl's, not that I have any, but it's really going to be better if I find out that I do have some, and figure out from that place so that I can manifest my dreams from that place. That makes sense? And so often we are in a world of distraction these days, and we don't focus on ourselves. It's all about that person and what they're doing. It's not my job. Even as a minister, it's not my job. It's me to bring you to the place where you can know who you are. And in that's where we're awakening every person to their own magnificence. Yes? Yes. Lvcsl goes on and talks about the law of prosperity. Now, there's lots of laws that we don't know exist. We talk about law of giving and receiving, and maybe you don't refer to it as a law, but it certainly is a law, which, like, if I jump off this stage, I'm going to expect that I land on the floor, right? I'm not going to just keep flying around because of the law of gravity, right? It's nice to know that the laws exist, but even if you don't know, does not mean that you are not using them. The law of prosperity, Lvcsl talks about in chapter 2. And she doesn't spell it out. I think you'll get it. This is the time when one must make his or her affirmations of truth repeatedly, when you're finding yourself in a feeling of lack or feeling of not being whole. And rejoice and give thanks that he or she has already received. The Bible says, before ye call, I shall answer. This means that every good and perfect gift is already awaiting man or woman. Man or woman can only receive what he or she sees himself or herself receiving. If I can't fathom $1 million and what that looks like and what that feels like particularly, how can I have it? How can I have it? You see so many lottery people win the lottery and the money escapes them. The money escapes them because they cannot fathom. They've never had any sense of what that would look and feel like to have. And so I'm working on my imaging faculty for that. So I can be a bazillionaire. She goes on to say, the children of Israel were told that they could have all the land they could see. This is true of every person. He or she has only the land within his own mental vision. His or her own mental vision. Every great work, every big accomplishment has been brought into manifestation through holding to the vision, and often just before the big achievement comes, apparent failure and discouragement. The children of Israel, when they reached the promised land, were afraid to go in. Now you ask and you ask and you ask for something, and then you see it. It's within your grasp, and then you're afraid of it. Anybody done that? Everybody done that? Right? It's part of the process. You're not weird. You're not off track. It's how we work. So the children of Israel, when they reached the promised land, were afraid to go in, for they said it was filled with giants who made them feel like grasshoppers, which that always happens to me. And there we see the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. This is almost every person's experience. However, the one who knows spiritual law is undisturbed by appearance and rejoices while he or she is yet in captivity. That is, he or she holds to his or her vision and gives thanks that the end is accomplished. He or she has received. Yeah. So hang in there with that idea, whatever that, it may not be talking about money. Money is just a condition like all the rest of them are conditions, right? We're talking this week and this month about money, but specifically the condition of not having enough, feeling of lack. It's the same circumstances. Not being in good health, not having a creative outlet or be able to express yourself fully and creatively, not having relationships that are fulfilling. It's all the same stuff. So don't let the green fool you. It's the same thing as any other condition, and you tackle it by the same way. You give thanks. You speak to that. Dan was very clear about it. He's very specific about what we need to do. Be specific in what we want. No airy-fairy, I just need some money. No. How much do you want? When do you want it? And when do you believe you can have it by? It's about your belief. It's about your belief. They are all finished and perfect ideas registered in divine mind, man's own superconscious mind, and must come through him, not to him. For example, a man or a woman came to me asking for treatments for success. It was imperative that he or she raise within a certain time $50,000 for his or her business, or for his business. The time was almost up. When he came to me in despair, no one wanted to invest in his enterprise, and the bank had flatly refused a loan. I replied, I suppose you lost your temper while at the bank, therefore your power. You can control any situation if you first control yourself. Go back to the bank, I added, and I will treat. My treatment was, you're identified in love with the spirit of everyone connected with the bank. Let the divine idea come out of this situation. He replied, woman, you were talking about an impossibility. Tomorrow is Saturday. The bank closes at 12, and my train won't even get there until 10. And the time limit is up tomorrow. And anyway, they won't do it. It's too late. I replied, God doesn't need any time, and it's never too late. With God, all things are possible. I don't know anything about business, but I know all about God. And he replied, it all sounds fine when I sit here listening to you, but when I go out there, it's terrible. He lived in a distant city, and I did not, in Florence, didn't hear from him for a week. Then came a letter. It read, you were right. I raised the money and will never, ever again doubt the truth. of all that you told me. It's all possible. It's all possible. You know, I had, when coming to this center, I had my own struggles with money. And my biggest struggle is the fact that I wasn't always a good steward of it. And so I would get it and it was fleeting all the time. I would like to say because I don't believe in lack, but I think that there was a belief that I wouldn't have it next week, so I had to spend it all this week. Now, I don't do that for the center, but personally, I'm speaking personally, right? So practice your resource, and I say the word resources with care. Resource, it's not yours in the first place. You're given to it, you are allowed to use it freely, to share your good. It comes from the source, so we call it a resource. So handle it with care. Don't overspend. Stick to your budget. Don't spend money you don't have. That's a good one, Stacy. Don't spend money you don't have. So many times, especially in this teaching, I'm guilty of it myself. Oh, well, I want to take this trip. And so I'm going to take this trip, and I don't have the money, so what do? Charge it, right? Not a good use of the money if I didn't really have the money. Now, I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm saying for me, knowing how I roll, that's not a good choice for me right now. So really intimately get to know yourself and who you are around money. That's the first place to start. You know, there's an act of faith, which we call tithing. I've taught Prosperity Plus 7, 8 times, I think, now. I don't take it because I don't get it. It's funny that I choose to forget some things and how things work. And I'm very aware of it when I choose to forget it, because my life starts financially kind of spiraling a little bit downward. And when I choose to remember it, when I teach the class or when I take the class, it all looks differently. Right? Anybody else been there, or is that just me? So you may be experiencing this slump because you're not practicing circulation. You're practicing holding on. So it has to be done from a place of trust, though. A place of really knowing the truth about you and what the creator of you is and does and has the capabilities. It's really about nothing else other than that. But I will say, if you were willing to jump out there, it will change your life. It surely will. Speaking of trust and tithing, and as I said, we were in a particular financial state quite a few years back when Reverend Cheryl and I first became ministers. And the way we've gotten through it has been amazing. And thank you, Kathy, our treasurer. And it took a little bit of, took a lot of belief. It took a lot of believing in one another as a board, in believing in you as a congregation, belief in our own abilities, but mostly the belief was in spirit. Okay, this is what we want. We had to put it down. We had to discuss it. Put it down on paper and talk about it. And it gets a little scary sometimes. But we did it anyway. And we've always been a center that gives to our home office and gives to charitable organizations. Foster Kinship has been around for longer than I've been, for what, 6, 7 years now? CASA program. There's some other wonderful things that we've done. But we kicked it up. When we were probably at our lowest point, we kicked it up. And so this year, we are now, just in the last quarter alone, we gave to CSL Kenya, remember the book drive? We contributed to Unity of Houston. for the floods, the Las Vegas Victims Fund, CSL New Jersey, who had a Puerto Rico assistance program, CSL San Jose member systems for the fires in Northern California, Redondo Beach CSL. We also give to Project 150 now on top of our foster kinship and on top of the CASA program. Wow. And we also doubled the amount that we send to home office. Yes, thank you. Thank all of you. That's what you did. That's what you all did. That's what you're contributing to. And so that's why this place is successful. It's because we believed enough to step out on that limb, and we're going to do it anyway. Even though we don't see it now, we don't see God all the time, right? There is an invisible presence that does things that I don't know how it gets done. I just know that it gets done. And so we had to put our money, so to speak, where our mouth was. And we did, and we have, and we will continue to do that. So thank you, Kathy, for being our biggest cheerleader with that. It's been amazing. So to just wrap things up, speak your word, be specific, state it to the universe. State it to the universe, say it out loud. For those of you that are practicing Nate McCarthy's practice every day, one of the things you do is you write to your CSO, or whatever you want to call spirit, chief spiritual advisor, chief, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, write it.
Chief of good stuff.
Chief of good stuff, I like that. Speak, write it, and speak it. And then be grateful for the demonstration in advance. It's already done. It's waiting for you to catch up with it, not the other way around. It wouldn't have put that in your mind and in your heart if it wasn't something that you could demonstrate. Realize that everything may come up that is seemingly against what you say, and affirm the truth. And if you can't see it for yourself, can I have our minister of prayer team raise their hands? We've got a lot of them. Can you see one of these people that knows the truth no matter what? See one of them. They will pray for your highest and best, and they know it. They believe it with all their hearts. So I cannot wait, as Reverend Cynthia would say, to see how this turns out. Thank you all, and I love you all. If you all would please stand and connect. For those of you, one more thing before I say the prayer. For those of you that haven't seen Oliver, Taya was amazing. It was the best production I've seen in Vegas, theatrical production I've seen in Vegas. Because I was kind of giving up on the whole theatrical thing in Vegas, coming from LA. I was like, I don't know, I don't think it's for me. But it was spectacular. So I think you have a few more days to see it, so go see it. All right, so let's connect. And in that energy of pure love, pure abundance, and pure gratitude, I'm just grateful for all that took place this good, great day. Grateful for each and every person that is here. Grateful for the food that is amazing. Grateful for the wine. Grateful for all the love of all of my favorite folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this and so much more. And together we say, and so it is. Let's let it be so.
Loved ones all are we.
to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
I know this in my mind.
I know this in my mind.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my checkbook.
I feel it in my checkbook.
And so it is.
And so it is.
You should